Hello and welcome. I hope everybody is having a good night. We went live about 7 minutes early, but that is okay. Again, hope everyone is just having a good night. I am glad to be here Friday night. I wanted to go live after the football game yesterday, and the big issue there is, if I'm honest with you, I just fell asleep during the football game. We have a number of stories to get to. I know locally in Buffalo, for instance, bars and bowling alleys and all that are closed down right now, as it is after 10 p.m. per governor's orders. But we are going to get right into this fast news. We're going to keep it short and sweet. You guys know I like to do it like that so people can rewatch it. Let's get into our first story. Our first story today is an update on the Ahmaud Arbery story. So our first story tonight is an update on the Ahmaud Arbery case. A Georgia judge denied bond for 2 of the 3 men charged with murder for the death of Ahmaud Arbery early this year. Chatham County Superior Court Judge Timothy Walmsley said Greg McMichael and his son Travis McMichael must remain behind bars because of the video of them appearing to chase down Arbery and shoot him to death shows they possess danger to their community. A prosecutor played a voicemail that Gregory McMichael left, a former investigator, Gregory McMichael, who is a former investigator for Brunswick District Attorney's Office. He left this voicemail for his former boss, Jackie Johnson, after Arbery was killed February 23rd. Jackie, this is Greg. McMichael is heard saying into his voicemail, "Could you call me as soon as you possibly can? It's inaudible, and I have been involved in a shooting, and I need some advice right away. Could you please call me as soon as you possibly can? Thanks, bye." Prosecutor Jesse Evans said, "This evidence shows from day one there was an attempt by these defendants to influence and obstruct the case." Our second story of the day goes to the Philippines here. We actually have some photos to show you after I'm done reading the story. So a typhoon raged through many of the villages around the villages that surround the Philippines today, after a typhoon killed at least 42 and at least 20 people are missing. It caused extensive flooding that sent people fleeing to their roofs, officials said. Troops, police, coast guards, and disaster response teams rescued tens of thousands of people, including many who flooded radio and TV networks, as well as social media, with desperate pleas for help. Floodwaters receded and the weather cleared in many areas after Typhoon Vacuum blew into the South China Sea on Friday, but the military said it was still rescuing people trapped in some flooded communities. So, yeah, and I want to show you guys some of the photos here. This is on the Guardian's website. They have a bunch of photos from what happened, and you guys can see just like what happened and the devastation wreaked in the Philippines from this typhoon. Sorry, guys. And yeah, you see all the flooding there, all the people on the highway. Typhoons they're similar to hurricanes, from what I understand. And you just see that it's like when a hurricane hits the south here. Absolutely just devastating to anyone impacted. All right, so now our next story of the day. Guitar Center, the largest musical instrument retailer in the United States, is finalizing terms for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. With support from the majority of its creditors, according to people with knowledge of the plans. The company could file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy as soon as this weekend with a prepackaged plan, said an anonymous source. Because discussions are private, so they want to stay disclosed because discussions are private. Stores would stay open and operating during the process, they added. The potential filing follows weeks of negotiations between Guitar Center and its creditors, and certain investors are set to provide new capital to the company and help it restructure. Guitar Center would cut its debt load, allowing certain creditors to swap their holdings for a percentage of reorganized equity, sources said. The situation remains fluid and plans could change as talks continue, according to the sources involved. So our next story takes place in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. William R. Volmar, 57 of Lancaster County, PA, entered a plea of no contest yesterday afternoon before Lancaster County Judge Dennis Rinkar. While not an admission of guilt, a no contest plea is considered a conviction. Volmar acknowledged that prosecutors had enough evidence that a jury could convict him had the case gone to trial. Daniel Dye, Assistant Chief Deputy Attorney General, recounted the accusations to Retnar, which involved Volmar touching victims' penises, performing oral sex on them, or otherwise inappropriately touching them. Volmar said nothing when Retnar offered him an opportunity to address the court. Otherwise, he said little other than acknowledging he was happy with the job his attorney, Michael Winters, has done. Winters has declined to comment. Volmar was led from the courtroom in handcuffs after the hearing as part of the agreement. He waived his right to a sentencing investigation and will be taken to a state prison to begin serving his sentence. Volmar must also register as a sex offender for the rest of his life, and he will be required to surrender his medical license. So, our next story involves fake breast implants and cocaine. So, the Colombian police today arrested members of Colombian drug cartel called Los... All right, I am not Hispanic, please don't make fun of me. Kirchuanos? The cartel gave women breast implants made up of liquid cocaine and sent them to Europe, thereby smuggling drugs in the continent. Police raided and arrested 6 men, and 4 of the men belonged to the cartel. The gang allegedly recruited women on account of giving them jobs in Spain. Once recruited, the women were made to undergo illegal operations in hotel rooms or rented apartments to implant liquid cocaine in their breast and then traffic them to Spain and other European countries. They also used calf implants designed to give the women more shapely legs to smuggle the drugs. The silicone in the implants, of course, was replaced by cocaine. So that is definitely a creative way to smuggle cocaine. Definitely not one. And now I know there is liquid cocaine. Anyone who's like watched The Nick online knows liquid cocaine's a thing, or online on Showtime knows liquid cocaine's a thing. But still, nonetheless, very interesting. So that was today's news. I hope everybody enjoyed it. I know there wasn't very much to talk about. I'm staying away from trying to talk about a lot of what the mainstream media has talked about, and that includes, the updates on all the 2020 election. We will stay with it, but until December, any breaking news we'll have, but there's been nothing shocking. It's all been the same stuff, lawsuits getting dismissed and states being confirmed, and that kind of thing. But you guys have a great night. I will see you tomorrow, and